All right. Hello and welcome. It's Dr. Kara, and I am so excited that we are getting together here for your Animal Communicator Business Roadmap webinar. And what I'm going to share here is really great for you if you're an animal communicator wondering how I get started, if you're an animal healer. If you are starting any business, I really think that this system will work in whatever arena you are in. I just happen to be an animal communicator, so I'm just focusing there. But I think the principles and the techniques and gosh, I got ahead of myself there. I was thinking about a different class. So I think that we're not going to go so much. Yeah, we are actually. So I think what we're going to cover today is a great overview for understanding what it's like to start a business, to be in a business, to grow a business, and what you need to know when. So what you need to know before you start, how are things in the beginning when you're just getting started, how do you get to the next level, and what does the whole big picture look like? Sorry, my head was actually in a different program. So your animal communicator business is really, roadmap is really about what does it look like, how do I get there, how do I get started, and how do I keep advancing? So that's what we're up to today. We're going to be moving back and forth between congregating here live with each other, having conversations. And I'm going to do some screen sharing to also share some PowerPoint slides with you. So we're going to do some back and forth. We'll kind of do a section of the content, and then we'll come back and regroup and anchor a little bit, and then we'll move on to the next piece. We'll do a little Q&A, whatever you guys got. And we have plenty of time. So I purposely created a big block of time ahead of time so that we can really cover a lot of ground and get your questions answered without feeling rushed or anything like that. So I'm planning to be here for 2 hours. I will cut us off at 2 hours. I think 2 hours is plenty, and we can always follow up later. This is being recorded, so there is a replay. So if you are worried about taking notes or anything like that, just know that you can just be here now, and you can always come back and take notes later or catch something. If you're taking notes and you missed something, you can come back and catch up with that. We are on Zoom, so there are a few things to know about Zoom and how it works. You guys, everybody is muted right now, but you do have the ability to unmute yourself. So if you have a question and you want to ask it and you want to unmute yourself, if you just hover over your image on your screen, if you're on a computer, you should get a little pop-up button that says unmute. And then there's also a little square that has 3 dots. We're probably not going to use those 3 dots, but you can mute and unmute yourself using that. And then also at the very bottom of your screen is a little smiley face icon that says reactions. So if you ever want to do a thumbs up on the screen, you can just click on that and I'll show you. So my little thumbs up just came up, and then I'm going to click on it. And, oh, it's just going to stay there. Never mind. I'm going to change it to a hand clapping. And apparently I don't know how to turn it off. So hopefully it just goes off. How does that work? Does anybody know? If you know how to turn that little thumbs up emoji off, just put it in the comments, because that's something I thought I knew and I just totally do not. Oh, it went away. Okay, so it's just there for a little while. All right, so I'm gonna just really quick look at all your faces. Hi, Renee, I see you. And Anna, I know I've seen you before, right? Hi, how are you? So we've got 60 people on here. Yay, we're getting more people all the time. That's great. The chat is probably going to be our friend today. So if you have a question about anything as we go along, you can go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'll be checking in with that off and on So thanks, you guys. Hand goes off by itself. It stays for about 20 seconds or so. Okay, good to know. So this is kind of where we'll meet. The other thing to tell you guys, if you're new to Zoom, is if you hover around the top right-hand corner of your screen, again, if you're on a computer, there's a little button that comes up that says either speaker view or gallery view. And you can click on that to change the way that your screen looks. It won't change what's going on at my end, but it will change what's going on for you. So those are just some logistical things that might make things go more smoothly for you. Anybody have any questions or anything before we get started? Just go ahead, put it in the chat, and I'll answer any questions, but then we're gonna start to switch screens and go for the content and get going on this. All right, so I don't see any questions. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. So here we go. So you guys should all be able to see that. And I need to go up here to present. Okay. So you guys should be able to now see the title of our webinar, Your Animal Communicator Business Roadmap, with me, Dr. Kara. And I want to start by really sharing my thinking behind this and why I created this and what I hope you will get out of it. So my goals for this webinar, this couple of hours that we're going to spend together, are that you're going to really understand the 3 phases of becoming a professional animal communicator, what they are, how they're different from each other. Recognize which phase you're in, and identify your key areas for growth. We'll talk about this more in a minute, but in each phase, there's things that you should be aware of and things that you should be doing in 3 key areas. And so we'll talk about those tools. And what are the action steps that you need to be focusing on in order to get to the next phase? And really, when we're done here, I want you to feel confident that you're on the right path and you know where you're going and you know how to get there. So I think that kind of like, remember when you were a kid and you thought, well, when I'm a grown-up, then I'm done, right? Like I'll just achieve grown-up status and everything will be fine. And I think we can approach a business like that too and think that, well, once I start my business, then it just goes. But what I found in creating my own business is that it wasn't until I was looking back that I really understood the phases that happen, and really honoring that there are phases and there is a roadmap and there is a path, and it's really uncomfortable to go to like leapfrog over phases. Like there's really this really nice progression that we can make, and to be comfortable with that, to know that that's part of it. I think we are living in a very quick fix kind of culture right now where we want everything right away, and it doesn't necessarily work that way. So let's talk about those 3 phases. So the first phase is before you're professional. So you're not taking money. You don't have a business yet. The second phase is when you've just started out. And what is that like? We'll talk about that. What are the things to be aware of? How do you grow your business? And then the third phase is really being an established professional. And what does that look like? And I really want you to understand these 3 phases and how they're different, because I think if you know that, then you don't put so much pressure on yourself to be somewhere that you're not, right? And this is what I didn't really understand when I started out. I was doing a lot of studying and taking business classes and stuff like that. And a lot of what I was learning was really applicable for somebody who was much more established than me. The tools and the skills were not going to work for me right out of the gate. They were, I needed other things in place first before they would work, but I didn't get that. I thought there was something wrong with me or something wrong with my business. And so one of my, my drives for sharing this perspective with you guys is so that you don't beat yourselves up for not being somewhere that you really can't be yet, right? Like I did. So these are the 3 phases before you're a professional, just starting out, and then when you become established. And the business is different, the tactics are different, the strategies are different at each one of these 3 phases. So can I just get like a thumbs up if you guys, if this is making sense? Just put a little thumbs up emoji on your screen so I can see that. And then let's go into, we're gonna talk about phase 1, pre-professional, and then we're gonna come back and have a discussion as a group. Like there's a reason that I do these live, and it's because I like talking to you guys and I like answering your questions and I like helping you. So, and if I don't know what's going on, I can't help you. So let's talk about this level first, and then we'll get together and chat. So this is the phase or the level where you're exploring animal communication or animal healing or whatever your business is. And you're studying and you're training and you're learning how to do it. And during this phase, to get to this phase, to even get to the place where you can be considering becoming a professional, you need to be working on your skills. So whatever it is, if it's animal Reiki, if it's healing touch, if it's animal communication, you need to be getting really good at those skills and have good teachers who can guide you on that path. So that's really the main thing for this, to get to this phase where you can really be thinking about going professional, is you need to really be able to get the training that you need in your area of expertise, animal communication, animal healing, whatever it is. So the intuitive skill set that you need as an animal communicator at this point are using your energy tools for a daily energy self-care routine and setting up for your animal communication sessions. And this is what I teach in my beginning and advanced animal communication classes. This is, I think, super important for self-care. It's super important for accurate intuition. And it also starts to create a structure that you will rely on in your business for how you operate. What's your system? What's your structure for doing this kind of work? I teach a reading screen and different energy tools, intuitive and energy tools. I think that's really important. There's a lot of self-taught people who don't have real tools and skills. And I think before you become a professional, this is something that you need to add to your toolkit, is understanding what is a reading screen and how do I boost my intuition? How do I work with guides? How do I turn my intuition on and off? Those are all energy tools and intuitive skills that I honestly think you need to have before you even consider becoming a professional. And then the other intuitive skill that I think is really important is that as an intuitive, information can come to us through any of our intuitive senses. So it can be clairvoyance, so seeing images, clairaudience, hearing stuff, clairsentience, feeling things in our body, and claircognizance, which is just direct knowing. Some people also have a really heightened sense of taste and smell, but those are less common. So we can all receive information intuitively through all of these avenues, all of these channels, but we all have a naturally easier way to do it. And I think as you're getting ready to become a professional, one of the little box you have to tick off is that you're not restricted to one sense for getting your information. So it's not just clairaudience all the time, that you're able to monitor your body, your vision, you know, your direct knowing, all of it has to be there. So these are some of the skills to be working up to, or making sure that you incorporate into your training as you're considering becoming a professional. And I already said this, but you're not restricted to just one sense, your dominant sense. You're able to use all of your senses. So the mindset skills that I see so often here, and I'm going to preface this with, these are all going to be negative mindset skills. This is what I see really commonly in animal communicators who are just starting out and they are not established, they're not comfortable yet. And these are some of the red flags. So if you recognize any of these in yourself, know that this is an area that you're going to need to work on. So oftentimes people feel compelled to do animal communication or animal healing because they can. They've had the training and they feel like a moral obligation to do it. Whether they get paid or not, they care so deeply about the animals that even if somebody can't pay them, they're going to go and do it. They just have to do this because they can. And what this says to me is that you don't have clear boundaries yet. You don't understand the exchange, and you don't understand the autonomy of the other souls that you're working with. This is a very egocentric, selfish mindset and approach to doing this work that I think is counterproductive to actually being a successful intuitive or healer. So this is, again, your boundaries aren't clear. So you don't have a way to say, okay, now I'm being intuitive and now I'm turning it off. It's kind of like on those TV shows, like if you've ever watched Long Island Medium, she's stopping people in the street because their dead aunt has something to say to them. This may be great television, but it's not a healthy way to live your life. And you need to have clear boundaries where you know who you are and what you offer, and you can communicate that to people, and you can honor your boundaries. So boundaries really, boundaries are a big issue in this world, in this arena. And then the other mindset that I see is animal communicators who want this so badly for people. Like they know the value of what they're offering, but it's more important to them than it is to the people that they're giving it to. So there's a real unequal exchange of energy with this kind of mindset. And there's, associated with this can be, a sense that, well, I'll show them how great this is, or it goes back to I have to do it because I can. And there's a whole mindset around this that is that old poverty mentality of like, well, it's spiritual work, so I have to give it away. I owe it to people to give this because I have this gift, so I have to share it. I'm obligated to share it. And I just call bullshit on that one. We all have gifts. We don't have to share them, and we certainly don't have to share them for free. So part of that whole mindset is like, I want this for people more than they want it for themselves. And we can't really accept that if they don't want to pay money for it, or they don't want to do an exchange for it, or a trade, or they don't see the value, that we have to do it anyways. That, it's just a very funky, murky kind of area. And so on the plus side of this, one great skill to have in your mindset as you are learning your skill, your animal communication, your animal healing, whatever it is, there are going to be fears and doubts and limiting beliefs coming up, negative self-talk like, oh, I can't do this, or who do I think I am to start my own business, or what if people think I'm crazy because I say I can talk to animals? What if it doesn't work? You know, all those fears and doubts. And this, if you are working through these fears and doubts, you get a 2 thumbs up from me, because this is what this phase is really for. It's really working through all of those things that are holding you back. And so this actually runs through all 3 of the phases. But if you have this mindset, you're going to be golden. You're going to be good to go. You're going to clear stuff. You're going to start seeing that negative self-talk isn't the truth. It's a limiting belief that's coming up to be cleared. So on the positive side, in this phase, if you are working through fears and doubts and limiting beliefs, then that's a great mindset to have, to really have that understanding of the context that, of course, as I grow and change and learn new stuff, I'm going to have doubts. I'm going to have fears. I'm not going to be comfortable necessarily with this person that I'm becoming. And that's true for us when we go to college or go to graduate school or get a new job, right? So why not here too? So working through all of that, recognizing that it's part of the territory. As I'm learning and growing, I'm going to be facing these fears and doubts. And then finally, the business skills at this point are actually fairly minimal, to be honest. So I don't think you need to worry too much about business skills, but some of the things to start thinking about and to start working on before you start a professional business is making sure that you have a really clear format and structure for your sessions. So in my advanced animal communicator class, we go through, how do I set up that conversation with a client, right? Like, how do I greet them? How do I end it? How do I work in the middle part? There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And at this point, whatever your specialty is, you should start creating a system or a format or a structure for communicating with other people. And at this point, they may be friends, they may be family, you know, they may not be clients formally, but this is a really important business skill to have, to create the structure and the framework for how you're going to interact with your clients. The other business skill that is really important here is to start saying the words out loud that you are an animal communicator or that you're an animal healer. All right, this is like the most fundamental business skill that you can have is communicating to people who you are, what you do, and how you help. And as you are doing all of these practice sessions, you should also start having a way to track those. So I like to keep an Excel spreadsheet. That's just me. I really like Excel. It's really simple and clear and easy. I think for a while in the very beginning, I made a little Word document that I printed out that had the date and the client's name and you know, their pet's name and what the topic was, if it was behavioral or health or whatever. And so the next business skill that is really important is have some system. It could be a spiral notebook that you just start writing down the date and the time and the client's name and all of that stuff. But start having some way of tracking the work that you're doing. And then marketing is really about how you communicate with other people about what you do. So understanding that at this phase, you're going to start talking to people about what you do and how you help them. And if you keep those 2 pieces in the conversation, what you do and how you help, you move that conversation forward, right? So marketing is really about connecting somebody who has a need or a problem that they want to solve with somebody who can help them with that problem, right? So the marketing piece that I think is really important at this point is learning how do you do that. And I think one of the important keys is to focus on how you help people. I help people who have lost their pets be reunited. I help people with aging cats ease that phase of life, or live life together more comfortably, or whatever. But I think talking about how you help people makes it more accessible, rather than I'm an animal communicator and that's what I do. And then people are like, what do I do with that? You know, some people are going to be like, yay, I've always wanted to know an animal communicator. And a lot of people are be like, well, why do you do that? Why do people come to you? So if you talk about how you help people, and if you start incorporating that now into your awareness and into that conversation, you're already learning a really important marketing skill and lesson. Okay, so that's phase one, right? The pre-professional phase. So I want you to rate yourself in each of these three areas that we just talked about. And you can do it however you want. You can do a thumbs up, a thumbs down, or a neutral, a check, a plus, or a zero, or a plus, a minus, and a neutral. But rate yourself on your animal communication skills. So do you feel confident as an animal communicator? Or plug in your thing. Are you really good at animal Reiki? So on a scale of 1 to 10 is, I think, just the easiest way. Where are you on that scale? Are you a 1 where you're like, I don't know if I can do this yet? Or are you a 10 like, I do this and I get great information and I got this part nailed? All right, so rate yourself on that. Give yourself a number from 1 to 10. And then the mindset. Do you have the mindset that I'm learning something new and there's going to be bumps along the road, but I can handle them and I can recognize my negative self-talk for what it is. And I know how to deal with setbacks and bumps in the road? Or do you have the mindset of like, this is a gift and I owe it to animals to use my gift, whether people appreciate it or not, I have to do it. I'm just compelled. So if you're on that compelled, I have to do it, you know, you're down more in the 1 to 2 to 3 range. And if you have this growth mindset where, you know, as you learn and grow, you're gonna have to keep updating and do some inner growth, then you're up more in the 8 to 10 range on your mindset. If you see animal communication and starting a business as a challenge that you can learn how to do, then that's higher on the mindset, right? So the higher the number, the more positive, the more holistic and positive your mindset is. So rate yourself on that. And then the third part is the business skills. So are you able to comfortably own your skill? I'm an animal communicator. I'm an animal Reiki practitioner. I'm a T-touch practitioner for animals. Whatever your business skill is, are you comfortable saying those words like out loud, I am a, and are you ready to receive whatever is going to come back to you? And it may be positive and it may not be. Are you tracking the sessions, your practice sessions? Are you listing them? Are you having a way to track them? If you are, again, then you're going to rate yourself higher in this area. So at this point, there's not a ton of business skills, right? So where are you? And really the rating is to help you see which of these skills you need to focus on to be ready to become a professional. And before we reconvene for our conversation, I want to talk about what keeps people at this level, because I've seen people at this level for years and years and years. And the pattern that I see is that If you're staying here and you've been here for a long time, your fears are holding you hostage. They're keeping you here. They're holding you back from accepting money or taking whatever the next step is for you. If you keep offering people information or guidance or insight or intuitive hits that haven't asked you to do that, you're also going to stay at this level. You don't have the boundaries and the self-respect to go to that next level. And, you know, even as I say those words, it sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. You have to respect yourself and what you're offering people enough to see the value of it and not just keep giving it away to people who don't see the value of it. Also, if you're going to restrict yourself to only doing readings for people that you already know, by definition, you can't become a professional, because you're going to have to reach out and get in front of people that you don't know who are going to give you money to become a professional. So if you only want to do readings for friends and family, that's great. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you want to become a professional, you're going to have to branch out and start being open to doing readings or having animal communication sessions or healing sessions with people who you don't know yet. And here's a good one for all of us: procrastinating, right? Oh, putting it off, waiting for just the right conditions. I'll do that sometime. If you're like me, this is an easy one. It's so easy for me to procrastinate. And so I create systems that keep me from procrastinating, like paying for classes, like I go to the gym and I pay for that and I pay good money for that workout. And so I'm going to go and do it. So I create these systems that keep me from procrastinating. And so you can do that with a buddy, a check-in buddy. You can do it with deadlines. You can do it with being in a class or hiring a coach, or, there's a lot of different ways to do it. But procrastination is really a good one for keeping us right where we are. On the other hand, moving to the next level, this is where it gets exciting and fun, you guys. So in terms of your animal communication skills, this is where you're just going to practice. And it's really, a lot of this is about just getting a whole bunch of sessions under your belt, whether it's animal communication or animal healing or pet sitting or dog walking, whatever you love to do in your business that you want to create. Practicing a ton and keeping track of every one of those sessions is going to amass this great amount of evidence that you can do it, and also experience. The more we do something, the better we get at it. They say that it takes 10,000 hours to achieve mastery at anything. And, most of us do not have 10,000 hours yet in animal communication. So let that be, kind of a scale for you, that however many hours you've spent doing this, you still have some thousands of hours more to become a real master at this. And that's okay. This is a learnable skill. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. The more different situations you'll encounter, the more comfortable you'll be, the more in tune with your own intuition and its unique language you'll be. Practice is just awesome in every sense. So practicing your skills in your area is just key to growing. Mindset. I think the biggest mindset shift that has to happen to really move out of the practicing learning apprenticeship phase and into the professional phase is to recognize and understand what limiting beliefs are and how to clear them. I start this in day one in my beginning animal communicator classes. There's tons of information out there. There's tons of tools to use. One of the easiest ways is to stop listening to your negative self-talk. Whenever you hear a voice that says, you can't do that, you can't start a business, you're too young, you're too old, you're not blah, 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 you recognize that that's a limiting belief, and you just say thank you for coming forward. I hear you, and I'm doing it anyways. You can also use some self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for judging myself as too old, too young, too fat, too whatever for starting a business or for talking to animals or whatever. But this mindset piece, I think, is the most critical thing, just to have that growth mindset and that context that as I'm growing and learning, I am going to do the inner work on my belief system that is going to allow my belief system to match that new, improved version of myself. And then the most important thing, I think, in terms of a business is to document your sessions. So you should already be tracking every time you work with somebody else, talk to their animal, do a healing on them, write it down, take some notes about it, whatever you want to know, the date, the length of time, if it was 10 minutes or an hour, the name of the client, the name of the animal, any notes that you want to have about what came up, anything that was unique or different, or what the topic was, all that stuff you should just be documenting. And then as you start to get more comfortable from all of your practice, then it's time to start doing some trades. And what trades do is they start easing you into the whole service for money paradigm of running a business. And it can be a very uncomfortable shift to doing things for free to accepting money for it. And I feel like trades establish an exchange. So I'll do this for you, you do this for me. It feels a little bit more comfortable than accepting money a lot of times, and it advances your practice, and it starts getting you talking to people as clients, which is really important, and that's going to come up in the next part of what we're going to talk about. So at this point, I do recommend doing some trades to start feeling that exchange of energy and feeling that there's value and you are getting that exchange for what you're offering, and that will be helping to make it more comfortable for you to start receiving payment. Okay, so I think, yeah, we are going to come back together. That is the end of that phase one. So I saw you guys were doing a lot in the chat. So I'm going to come back. I'm moving my screen to the gallery view so I can see everybody. And I want to just see if anybody has, you guys, a lot of you have your videos off, which is cool for the bandwidth, right? I want to see where you guys are. So I'm looking at the comments in the chat, and you guys are putting in some numbers, which is great. So, but I don't know what these numbers are. So let's do this. What are your 3 numbers? Let's put them in the chat. So your skill set. So if it's an animal communicator, animal Reiki, whatever your specialty is, that's the first number. Mindset is the second number. And your business skills are the third number. And we're just talking about these business skills right now. So you may have a 10 because you've been tracking everything in business skills and you're comfortable talking about what you do and how you help people. But those are the criteria. So let's see what you guys are saying. Ooh, I'm seeing a lot of 8s, 7s, 10s. So Patty says, mindset is not ready to do it. Mindset, Liz is a 9, business is an 8. This is awesome. Dana is 675. So that's awesome information, Dana. You know where you want to focus moving forward. Cherry, you're 8, 10, and 7. Awesome. Marilyn, 985. Great. 556. Okay, good. Oh, a lot of them. So 575. 594-995. That's great. 288. So tell me, you guys, how does having this information about where you are in these 3 areas, what does it do for you? Does it help you know where to focus to get ready? If you're not charging money yet, does it help you know where to focus on to be ready to start a business? And I'm just going to scroll through the chats and see. Yes, definitely yes. Awesome. Sure it does. Very much so. Yes, with an exclamation point and caps. Yes. Jude says this is gold. Now I have jumping off places. I love the barter piece to get started and have practice. Dana says yes. And Nubia, hi. Says that this is giving her focus. Yes, says Dana. And Vanessa says, helps identify where my weaknesses are. Vanessa, I would expect you to do pretty well, especially in the business area. Rating myself as good as a focus. I see what I need to focus on, says Cherry. Perfect. So what I want you guys to do is, if you have a question, will you just type it into the chat? Because I'm really hoping to kind of keep everything moving along so we can cover all this, because we do have a lot of people here. So if you have a question about that phase, so if, say, you rated yourself like a 3 in mindset, and you're like, well, how do I improve that mindset? How do I shift that mindset? Just type it in the chat and then let's talk about it. So Kathy says, yes, it helps. I don't really want to use the skills I have, which is not about animal communication. Now I'm thinking about taking your animal communication classes. Yay, we'd love to have you there, Kathy. That would be great. So Jude says, I need to practice. What suggestions do you have for how to find trades? Let's talk about that. What's your view on accepting donations instead of charging a set fee? Love it. Healing touch and animal communication, build confidence in intuitive areas. Vanessa's also wondering about getting some practice in trades. And Jill says she has a hard time saying I'm an animal communicator when I'm still practicing and building skills. Okay, so these are great. So Rita says in Portugal, we don't have many animal communicators, so it's difficult to market to initiate it. Yeah, I totally get that. And I would say there are definitely countries where it's more accepted and becoming more mainstream. And I think the rest of the countries are gonna catch up really soon. So let's go through these. There's definitely some patterns here. So I wanna go, okay, so the first question. So let's talk about practicing, okay? How, if the animal communication or some kind of animal healing is your limiting or your lowest rating for this part, how can you get more practice? So, and I want you guys who have done, like, who just said I have hundreds of sessions? So let's see. Yeah, so some of you guys on this call have practiced a lot. So I would love for you guys to just put in the chat, if you have done lots and lots of sessions, how did you do it? Where did you find those people to practice with? Okay, just write down some suggestions. So, or just say, you know, practice : Facebook, or practice : dog park, or however you did it. So, okay, here's some of the ideas. Craigslist. Wow, I would never have thought of that. Volunteer at an animal shelter. An ad on Craigslist, says Joe. That's really wild. I would never have thought of that. There are animal communication practice pages in Facebook, so you can join. You can just search in Facebook for groups that are animal communication practice. And friends and family, says Maureen. Animal shelter. Referrals. I told everyone and asked if they knew someone who might be interested. This is brilliant. This is gold. So if you have a friend that and you're practicing, and then say, hey, do you have anybody else that might want to practice with me? This beautiful, beautiful. You guys, you're such a gold mine of information. Wendy did practice at work with friends. And she says, I get direction from animals when I'm out in public. I'm not sure what that means. Michelle told pet store owners and dog groomers that she was doing animal communication for free in exchange for specific feedback. I love that, because already we've got that exchange piece in. It's not like, hey, here's this thing that's of low value and I'm just giving it away. It's saying, hey, I'm learning and I'm practicing and I want some feedback. So you're getting paid in feedback. So I love that. Marilyn says family, friends, word of mouth. Equine therapy classes, going to a farm, offer to a business networking group. That's great. So Wendy says she's got a lot of farm animals. Referrals. I'm sorry, this is scrolling really fast. It's hard for me to see. And so Jan brings up a really great point. So she says, I've practiced on lots of our farm animals, but there's no feedback that way. And here's the thing that I always say to my beginning animal communicators: don't worry about feedback, just worry about doing it, right? Just go and do it and do it and do it and do it without paying any attention to the feedback or the confirmation or anything. Eventually that will come, but what's more important is getting all of those practice sessions under your belt, whether you know if you got it right or not. Wendy says referrals and telling how you've helped other people makes people more interested. She also has a homeopathic vet for referrals. Tell people they can share your contact info with their friends. Michelle says, if somebody doesn't give me enough feedback, I ask for more, explaining that I'm working to become a professional. Patty asks, how is trading working during quarantine? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. I feel like the Facebook groups are going to be really good for that. Maybe Craigslist, because you can do it over the phone. I'm not sure. And okay, so Wendy says, I've had multiple occasions when I've been out and the animals ask me to approach the pet owner. Okay, oh, interesting. So there's a Zoom practice group, and friends and friends exchange for feedback. And also Madalena did sessions for her friend who's a professional when she was too busy to do it herself. So the thing is that you can go practice anywhere, right? Think about where you are, where people with animals are, and start getting comfortable offering. What I did was I met with a friend once a week, and we did field trips for about 6 months to a year. We would just meet every Tuesday afternoon, and we would go walk around and find animals, and we would go talk to them. And it was great because it was, we were just having fun and doing it. And we found like koi fish, and we found grasshoppers, and we just found all these different animals. And then a mutual friend said, hey, my friend has a farm. Why don't you come up there? So we did a field trip up there. So it kept it very light and very fun. And it also was helpful because we didn't always share everything with people who would have information, but we had so much overlap between the two of us that it was very, very reassuring that we were both on the right track, that she would always get something a little different. Like she might get more about what they like to eat or their names, and I might get more about what their soul contract was with a person, or why they were here, or what their mission was. So it kind of came through these filters of our different interests, but we had so much overlap. We had 80 or 90% overlap, and so it was great to do it with a buddy. So you guys can scroll through the comments. There's lots of great ideas about where and how to practice. And I think Craigslist, that's the one I never would have thought of, but that's awesome. So I'm just going to scroll back up, or let's see, that might take me a minute. Okay, so back to the questions. Okay, so Joe's question is, how do you view accepting donations instead of charging a set fee for animal communication and healing touch for animals? And I think that's great. I'm all for that. I personally have worked, especially with lost pets. I've worked in a lot of different ways financially around that. And in the beginning, I charged full price because it was my time and I needed to honor my time. And then I went down to 50% of my usual rate because that was my way of giving back, of just feeling like helping was more important to me than money. And then I even moved to doing lost pet work for free, in asking for some sort of donation to a charity of that person's choice. So, and then I often have people, when that happens, who will send me the receipt that they sent to their local animal shelter, to show that they really did do that. So I think, and it can be fluid. There's no one right or wrong way to do it. I think it's really important to be clear that this is an exchange, there is value, and this is how the exchange is going to happen. So having that going. So Mary asks, what's the best way to build confidence in the intuitive areas? Mary, there is no substitute for just racking up session after session after session after session. And again, like, truly, honestly, don't worry about people confirming what you get. But the value is in, you're training your body how to do this work, and you're putting it, by doing it over and over again, you're teaching your body how to automatically get into intuitive mode really quickly, really easily, and on command. And as you do that, you're going to start to become aware of so many other things that it's going to be so valuable. So don't worry about, like getting people to confirm anything. Just go out and do it. Go take a walk. Go talk to the bird. Go talk to the worm. Go talk to the snake that crosses your path. Just get used to doing it. And then it just, do that, and keep a journal. So start tracking every single time that you practice. And those two things are going to get you more comfortable and more confident with your intuitive skills. So Jill says, I have a hard time saying I'm an animal communicator when I'm still practicing and building skills, but are you communicating with animals? Yes, you are an animal communicator. You may not be a professional animal communicator yet, but you are an animal communicator. In fact, we're all animal communicators. We're all doing it, whether we're aware of it or not. So just start shifting that mindset a little bit and expanding your definition of what an animal communicator is, because you are an animal communicator, and start saying it out loud. My friend Ellery, she was so fantastic. She was my buddy that I would meet with each week, and we used to play a game with each other, and we just kept things so light and so playful. And I would have a conversation with a moth, and she would look at me and she would go, you are so psychic. You are such an animal communicator. And my only appropriate response was, yes, I am. Right? So we're affirming it. Everything I did, I said, here's what the grasshopper said. She would say, you're an animal communicator. I would say, yes, I am. Make a game out of it. Have fun, right? This is good, fun stuff. So keep going with that. Practice. Say it out loud a bunch of times to yourself. Write it down on the blackboard 100 times. Just start to own it. Okay, so I'm going to go on and see if there's, let's see. Nubia, will the chat be visible during the replay? I don't know. Honestly, I have to look at that. That is a really good question. I think I can save it as its own file, and so I will send it with that. I will find out about that. Thank you for that question. So let's see. I'm not sure what this is. So how do I learn the basics of the intuitive skills? You have to take a class and find a teacher. There's lots and lots of us out there now, which is really cool. How do you determine your fee? We can talk about that later. That's a little bit ahead of where we are. And so Wendy says, I'm a business professional. I'm concerned about using my actual name on a website or on my business card. Don't do it yet then. It's too conflicting for you. Do it only with people that you're comfortable with. And this is part of the mindset growth is you need to be comfortable with who you are and what you do. You may not share it with everybody, but work on that mindset piece before you do it. I think there's just energetically a lot of mixed messages there. If you have a business in a different name, it's going to send some really weird energy to your potential clients. So, and I don't even recommend starting out with a website and a business card when you're starting to do this work, even when you're getting paid. And we can talk about that later too. So, okay. Practices are communicating with the animals without any feedback. Yeah, practice with whoever you can practice with. It's not about getting it right. It's really about practicing the skill. Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody has a sense of which area they're strong in, which area is going to get some focus. And we're going to now move over to phase 2, which is all about what happens in the beginning phase of having business. So I'm going to share screen again. And Wendy, I just got your note. Thank you. You're so sweet. Okay, so let's talk about the beginning phases of becoming a professional and what it takes to get here. So to reach this level, I feel like you should have at least 50 readings under your belt. And again, like, you know, some animal communicators don't call them readings, they call them sessions or conversations. My background and my training is in a 1-year psychic training program. So that's just the wording that I use. Don't let it hang you up, but have at least 50 conversations under your belt before you even consider starting to take money. And use your animal communication skills, you know, or your healing skills in a lot of different ways, and find out, just do some exploration to see how you like to work with animals. What's your favorite kind of conversation? Who do you love working with the most? Just start exposing yourself to all these different ways that you can be an animal communicator. Maybe going to a local shelter, maybe going to an animal rehabilitation center, you know, maybe going to the zoo or somebody's farm. Start working with animals who are getting ready to transition or animals who have passed. Like, just really start looking at all the different ways that you can apply your animal communication skills in different situations. So the intuitive skills that you need to have in order to really start your business and start accepting money is to have a reliable routine and format for your sessions. And those are two different things. So a reliable reading routine is what I consider the actual conversation that you have with the animal. Know that if you have a client who wants you to talk to their turtle, that you know exactly what to do to have that conversation. You know how to turn your intuition on, you know how to ask clear questions, you know how to receive information, you know how to communicate that information in a way that that client will receive it and understand it. And you need to know how to get clarification and ask more questions or explain it in different ways to your client. That's the reading routine, so that you know that those intuitive skills are there. And the format for your sessions actually probably should be in the business skill set. But this is, how do I talk to a client? What's the first thing I say? How do I set them up? How do I get the conversation going? How do I shift into intuitive mode? How do I come out of intuitive mode? How do I end the session without being rushed? How do I time it? How do I pay attention to time when my eyes are closed because I'm doing a reading? All of those things, you really need to have that established. And that's where that practice comes in, and working with a lot of different people, so that when you go to get paid to do this, you know what you're doing and you know how to do it, you know how to talk about it, you know how to accomplish it, so that you have that confidence. And then all you have to do is show up to focus on the healing session or the conversation or whatever you're doing. I put any kind of energy work into intuitive skills, and this is critical, you guys. Have energetic self-care habits in place and use them regularly. I had a client this morning, and I did my energy routine before, and I used my energy skills while we were having our session. And after the session, I have my self-care routine, which is to separate my energy from my client's energy. And I have a very specific way that I do that. That's my self-care. You need, if you don't use my tools and my skills, you need to have your tools and your skills, whatever they are, but you have to be aware of the energetics of the exchange between you and your client, and you and your animal client, your human client and your animal client. And you need to be able to manage that. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for stress, you're setting yourself up for illness, you're setting yourself up for addiction even, because if we have energetic conditions in our bodies that we're not aware of, those can lead to unconscious ways of trying to manage our energy. That can lead to addictions such as overeating and smoking and other things like that. And it was very common in the 70s and 80s to see psychics who were super, super unhealthy because unconsciously they were clearing their energy field from their clients by smoking or by eating food, which are two ways to do it, but not healthy, right? Or by running and over exercising. Also, exercise is great, but too much is not good, and it's unhealthy. So absolutely know how to take care of yourself energetically and create the habit of doing that regularly, at minimum once a day, and ideally after every single session. We talked about this in the earlier phase, but you need to have multiple ways to get information so that you're not just dependent on your easiest way to get information. And this is a real clear distinction between amateurs and pros, right? You need to be able to respond to the situation. You need to be the one who, if you're talking to an animal but they send pictures, you need to be able to get those pictures, because you need to make it easy for your client to get you the information. The onus is on you as the professional to have all of these skills in every area. You don't want to go into a situation where you have a horse who's hurt and they send you clairsentient feelings because that's their easiest way to send information, but you can't get it. You're not going to be able to help. So you absolutely need to know how to get information from all of your senses. And you also need to be able to talk to clients and share information with them and have, you know, a good bedside manner. This is all part of intuition. For me, I follow my intuition in how I present information to clients. And I will often take a moment to ask my guidance, whether it's my higher self or my actual guides, um, how should I say this? Should I share this? How much of this should I share right now? And I personally really follow my intuition on how I talk about things. So these are, I think, absolute minimums for being ready to be a professional. And then the mindset skills that go along with that are, you know, you can do this, right? You have the confidence that you can communicate with animals or heal animals or whatever it is that you can do. You value the service that you offer. You acknowledge the amount of time and training and effort that you've put in, and you recognize that bringing that experience and expertise and time and focus and attention to this situation with your client is valuable. You've already had the experience of a fair energetic or financial exchange for services. So in the early professional phase, it can cover your first, you know, 5 or 10 clients. But you also, if you're having a good energetic exchange that you feel is very fair, that to me counts as well. I don't want you to keep trading forever. I want you to stop. We'll talk about that. But at this point, if that's working for you, then go ahead. This mindset skill is, I think, really important. So it's really about being neutrality and being a clear channel for what the animal wants to share. And along with that neutrality is being unattached to what happens. You're not there to create a specific outcome. You're not there to make the horse jump a higher thing and whatever horses do, right? You're there to facilitate a conversation, to facilitate healing, to solve a problem for your client. And letting go of expectations for what that looks like, I think, is super critical and often overlooked. I don't think a lot of people talk about this, but I think it's very, very important. The other thing that goes along with this is also understanding that people are coming to you for a bigger picture, for a deeper understanding, that they can't see the solution for whatever their problem or challenge is from where they are. So they're coming to you for a different viewpoint. They're coming to you to facilitate that conversation with an animal, to heal some kind of situation or something like that. And from my perspective, I see this as one of the greatest gifts that I give my clients is having an expanded spiritual perspective for the situation. So it's not just about, can I get my dog to do this and to not be anxious in the car? It's really about what's going on. What's the opportunity for growth here? How can we help this dog with whatever challenge it's facing so that in the car it feels comfortable and safe and peaceful? So, you know, I also, a lot of times I have clients who are so in their perspective that they argue for the limitations of the situation. Even as they're coming to me for help in a bigger picture, they'll still say stuff like, yeah, but my dog can't do that, or yeah, but I don't know how, blah blah blah. And they hold on to their limited view. And that's what we do when we're triggered by a problem in a situation and a challenge that feels too big to us. But the mindset skill that I think is really important here, and that happens ideally before you start charging money, but definitely happens in that beginning phase, is really understanding that what comes through you is different than what they are aware of right now. And there's really great value in sharing that perspective from the animal, from a bigger picture, from your experience. So really not staying in the smaller mindset that your clients may come to you with that perspective, but having your bigger perspective and sharing that with them. I hope that all makes sense. So at this point, the business skills that you need, and this may sound more like a mindset skill, but this is absolutely a very fundamental business skill, is knowing who you are, knowing what gifts you have, and knowing what your strengths are. Really, that self-awareness is such an important business skill because it's going to really help you communicate to your potential clients and to your clients about what they can expect from you. And it's going to help them feel comfortable when you speak from this place of knowing who you are and what you do. They get your confidence and they feel comfortable with you and they feel confident with you and they trust you. So really knowing who you are and what you're offering is an important business skill. The other thing that's important at this point is really knowing who you love working with. Do you love working with kids who are getting their first pet? Do you love working with, professional jockeys to have better relationships with their horses? Who do you love the most? Do you love businesswomen? Do you love families? Who do you really love working with? Who are you in love with and who do you want to help the most in the world? That's your ideal client. And we talked earlier about who you help and how you help them. So who you help is your ideal client. How you help them is the transformation that you offer them. So you are offering them a solution to a problem that they have, but that solution is going to change them in some way. It's going to take them from sleepless nights worrying about what's wrong with their dog that the vet can't figure out to understanding the situation and having action steps to take, feeling comfortable and confident about that. That's a transformation. So how you help people is the transformation that you offer. What's the benefit there for them? Why do they come to you? Why do they pay good money to you? It's because of the transformation that you offer, the solution to the problem that gets them where they want to be. You also need to be tracking your income and your expenses at this point. You will have income because you are now a professional, and with income comes expenses. Even if you're working remotely, there's going to be, telephone charges for your cell phone, or like I'm paying for Zoom, right? Like you're going to have those kinds of expenses. So you need to keep track of them. And at this point, as soon as you start making some good money, you should also open a business bank account just so that you have a clear delineation between what is income for your business, pay your expenses out of there, and what is your salary. So you're going to pay yourself a salary into your personal bank account. And that's just the next step up from tracking everything, is now starting to make sure it's really clean and really clear where that money goes and how it's spent. And you're going to see this come up quite a bit, you guys. It's business training. So you've spent all this time and energy and effort and money on getting trained in your field of specialty, but you also need to have some kind of training in business. I started out going to a series of classes at my small business development center in my town. Then I moved on to online businesses. I have behind me at least 6 or 8 business books. I've done investment in my business training every year that I've been in business in some way, whether it's classes or coaching or books or something else, conferences, retreats, all that stuff. But just start getting educated in business. Okay, so it's time to rate yourself again, and we've got the same 3 areas. So on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in the professional? And I know some of you guys already have websites, some of you already have maybe a business account. That's great. If you don't have that stuff, that's fine. So let's think about the animal communication skills. Do you have a routine for the conversation or the session or the actual time you spend with the animal? Do you have a format for your sessions with your clients, how you talk to clients, how you start a session, how you end a session? Are you able to use all of your senses? Or are you still only seeing pictures or hearing words and just getting information one way? So again, you can rate on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And we'll do those 3 numbers again. So where are you now in this phase in your animal communication skills? Where are you in your mindset for this phase in terms of, are you seeing the opportunities for growth? Are you clearing stuff up? Are you comfortable? Are you honoring your value and your worth and all of that kind of stuff? And then business, are you tracking? Do you have a business account? Do you have any of those other things? So go ahead, rate yourself. We'll come back to, I'm gonna stop the screen share and we will come back to talk about that. Whew, how are we doing, you guys? Get any thumbs up here? Is this good? Yeah? Okay, maybe a smile. Thumbs up from Charlie and Alana and Anna and Marilyn. Okay, good. And Jude, you are the people I can see. Oh, lots of thumbs up. Oh, a clapping from Maureen. Thanks, Maureen. Patty, Nubia. Okay, great. Great. Good to see all those thumbs up. Hi, Sharon. Good to see you here. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk about numbers. And let's see, I want to make sure. So we've got in this phase 2, we've got 2, 8, and 6. Great, right, Patty? So that's awesome. So you know you need to really work on, but you know what to work on now with the animal communication skills, which is awesome. Stacy's at 10s for everything. Go, Stacy. That's awesome. Maureen, I love it. 8, 8, and 1. So a little bit of structure and organization coming up for you. That's great. Adbuta's at an 8. Oh my God, you guys are ready. 898 from Michelle, and Liz is a 985. So Liz, do you know which, part of the business you need to address? This is 988 from Joe, 998 from Dana and Cherry, 1010 from Michelle. You guys, you're so ready. All of these really high numbers. So Dana says 648. So she's got the business skills from another animal business, but still working on feeling confident with the animal communication. Awesome. And 556. Interesting. We're going to have to talk about that, okay? As I would have to disagree with you there, because I know you're really awesome at what you do. Madalena 871. So Madalena, start. For some of us, we're so woo woo, right? Like the easy part is the intuition and the connecting and talking to the angels and all that stuff, and it's the structure and the tracking and all that stuff that is harder for us. And Madalena, if that's true for you, I totally understand. And just start keeping some records. That's the perfect place to start. So Jan's 286. So again, you're set up, and when you start to feel more comfortable and have more practice under your belt and start looking at some of those structural things, that's going to come together for you. Amaresh says 784. Interesting. Awesome. So I love that your mindset is there and you just have a little more practice to do to catch everything else up. That's fantastic. And I got a smile for Madalena. Yay. Okay. Questions about this phase, because I want you guys to walk away wherever you are, especially you guys with the really high numbers here. I want you to walk away, well, maybe, yeah, anybody. I want everybody to walk away with, what are the steps that I can take that will really get me going in my business? What do I need to do? So wherever your low number was, identify an action step that you're going to take, write it in the chat. Okay. So what's the area? So the skills, the mindset, or the business, and what's 1 or 2 actions that you can take to boost your score in that area. So go ahead and write that in the chat, your area and your actions. I want you guys to walk away from this roadmap with like marching orders, right? Like, this is what I need to do, and this is how I get to where I'm going to go. All right, so Michelle says, networking in business. Awesome. Awesome, Michelle. Great awareness. And we didn't even talk about that. Ange says, clarity on my ideal client. Angela, I think that's going to come with doing some practices. I think you need to get some more practice sessions under your belt so you can start to see what the common features are of who you like working with and who not so much. Alana says skills, practice. Yes, Alana. Marilyn says business training. Marilyn, be more specific. What do you need? So I'm seeing, let's see, records on the computer, not just a notebook, getting some business training. Great, Liz. So let's see. Anne says in AC skills, energy post sessions and daily. I'm not sure how to do this. Go to my YouTube channel. I have tapping videos and I have some energy videos. So just Dr. Kara Gubbins, plug it into YouTube, and I have some videos on that. Vanessa's working on getting her 50 practice sessions in. Michelle's going to work on marketing. Mindset for Joe is, yeah, don't listen to those doubts, and get some clarity on what you want to say on your website. If you know who you are and who you help and what they get out of it, that's a great place. That's enough to start with a website. Cherry says business is her area, her ideal client, and how she helps them. That's great. Madalena says she's getting a new computer and Excel, and she's recording sessions and also getting more sessions. That's great. Marilyn says website and marketing. Great. Jan's going to create a routine for her sessions, giving herself some structure for that. Wendy's going to start a business bank account. Yes. Oh, I love that, Wendy. So Wendy says setting up a business bank account is going to let the universe know that she's serious about setting up her path. Yes, absolutely. Great intention. Business records, practicing AC skills. Great, you guys. I see all of these. Tracking and recording seems to be a challenge for a lot of people. And for some people, it's still the animal communication skills. So just know that there's classes out there. I offer classes, other animal communicators offer classes, and you can do that. Okay, any questions about this? Any more specifics that you guys need before we move on? Because we've got a little bit more to cover on phase 3. Because I want you guys to see where, you know, that it's okay to be at a beginning phase when you're a beginner, and you don't have to be at this advanced phase when you're not. When doing a distance session, I recorded. Okay, Marilyn. Marilyn, do you have a question about that? I'm not sure what you're saying. Patty asked, can animal communication be done online? Absolutely. You can do that online. In fact, many people in this group are doing that already, so it can totally be done. And Liz says she started online. Okay. All right, you guys, I'm going to move us along to phase 3. So I'm going to go back to screen sharing because I'm not seeing any questions. And oh gosh, I forgot this. So if you want to stay here, undercharge or overcharge, don't value your services, argue for your limitations, stay small, don't challenge yourself, be safe, and you will stay there. But if you want to move on, once you are getting more established, stop doing trades, charge the going rate in your area. Understand that you're going to spend about equal time working in your business, that's with your clients, and working on your business, that's networking and marketing and writing blogs and that sort of thing. And when you've become established and you know, like, this is where I want my right livelihood to be and this is how I want to make money, that's when you start creating a website and a blog and a newsletter. But that is not the first thing that you have to do by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Oh, and business training. There's always business training. All right, so let's talk about what it takes to get to that next level. And these are just my numbers, you guys. They're not absolute. This is not written in stone, but this is just to give you a sense of how things kind of can go. So to really be established in a business, you're going to have completed hundreds of readings for paying clients. That means you're going to be doing this, day in, day out. Every week, you're going to have clients for a long time to be able to get to this level. You have to be using your tools and your self-care routine. You need to have personal and professional boundaries in place, and you will get tested on those, don't worry. And you can continue to improve and refine your animal communication skills. So I don't want you to think you have to have it all 100% figured out and be absolutely a 10 out of 10 all the time on every animal communication session that you ever attempt. You will still continue to get better. You'll refine your bedside manner. You'll refine your systems, but you need to start out with those. And doing hundreds of readings will get you there. So really having that level of experience is what's going to help you get established and to have these things come together. Intuitive skills wise, this is where you do want to have ability to do readings or have conversations in all of the really common areas. So you may want to start looking into and practicing veterinary medical intuitive readings or sessions. Pet mediumship, talking to animals that have passed. Helping to find lost pets, helping animals with end of life and aging and passing over and transitions. And you may start to get into some bigger patterns like soul contracts, past lives, reincarnation. Some of that stuff is going to start coming up automatically just because you're going to start having conversations with so many different kinds of animals. And in terms of the mindset here, at this point, you should be getting paid well, right? You shouldn't be compromising on your fees to get established. You should be established. You should have ongoing clients that come to you. You should really own your expertise and your gifts. You may have specialized in certain areas of your specialty, so you may have honed it down even more. And again, you're not going to agree with your client's opinions or doubts or limitations. And I see this still happening sometimes with people in the beginning phase of being a professional. They're still looking for some confirmation and validation. And when you've gotten to this established phase, you're going to have clients, and you're going to have clients all the time say, no, that's not true. That'll never happen. Or my dog's not like that. Or I could never do that. Or my cat would never do that. And by now you've had so much experience with your intuition, with this process, with talking to animals, that you trust yourself and the animals more than you trust the words that anybody else says to you. And I have plenty of emails from clients who said, when you said this, I thought you were crazy or making shit up. And it happened, right? So I always have people coming back to me days, weeks, months later with confirmation and absolutely contradicting what they said to me in the moment because they weren't ready to hear what I was saying. And that's okay. The thing that's going to come with time and with experience is you're not going to really need that confirmation because you're not going to be attached to it, and you're going to have experience with kind of a bigger picture than they can see. You're going to trust your intuition more than you trust what your clients say. And you're going to really know that there's a bigger picture here. You're part of something bigger than just yourself. In terms of business skills, at this point, you absolutely should have a website and a blog. You should have a marketing calendar, and this is advanced business skills. This is not what you need to work out before you start a business, right? This is down the road. This will be somewhere on the horizon for you. You should be on social media and posting and sharing your message and sharing your mission and getting that out in the world. And at this point, you're ready to start doing some joint venture activities with other colleagues, with other professionals. You might have promotional partners and start partnering up with people. And this is also a nice time to get a business coach for a little bit more specialized one-on-one business attention and focus. And, you're really working through some more specifics for yourself with a coach. So I don't know, are any of you here? Go ahead and rate yourselves on those animal communication skills. Can you do all those kinds of readings? Do you get spiritual contracts, past life, reincarnation information? That's, if you're doing all those things, then give yourself up there in an 8, 9, and a 10. Is your mindset really owning your value and your worth, and you're making a lot, really good money that you feel really good about? And business skills, that's the marketing, the website, the communication calendar of what topics you're going to be. Do you know what your mission is? Are you able to articulate that and share that with the world out on social media and in public talks and that sort of thing? All right, so I'm going to just go through staying at this level, and then we'll talk in a minute. So to stay at this level, yay, stay here, it's great, but make sure that you continue to do the work on yourself. You can always become a clearer and clearer channel, and that inner work, that mindset work, is the way to do that. And you can always grow more, right? You can become a bigger messenger for this work, for what your mission is, whatever it is. You can keep stretching yourself. I think of Kathleen Prasad, who is an animal Reiki teacher and practitioner, and she went from doing Reiki on herself and her dog to helping other people, to helping animals in shelters, to teaching people how to do it, to creating the Shelter Animal Reiki Association, to spreading Reiki for animals around the world, to writing 6 books. Like, she keeps expanding and moving, and you can always keep expanding and growing, but you're already established, so there's not really another phase up there yet. And you can always become a clearer channel for the divine by cleaning up your energy and your consciousness and going back to all of those daily habits and skills of your energy and your self-care and your inner work. And there's always more business training to do. There's always another business book. There's always another teacher. There's always something new to try. And I personally now find it really fun to learn more about business and training and learn new stuff. But I love learning new stuff. So that's just kind of part of who I am. Okay, so let's check back in and come back to the group. And I love that you guys are talking to each other and you've already got your numbers in. So if you don't have your numbers in, skills, mindset, business, where are you? And let's see, I'm gonna, so Patty says, what does well mean? And that I think you're referring to that you're paid well. This is like a whole month long. I mean, there's people who specialize on how to charge, how to set your prices and what to charge and stuff. And I'm not going to go into it, but getting paid well is what feels good to you. Like, yes, I'm worth that. That's a value. That financial compensation reflects the value that I see people getting in my sessions. And I will tell you that when I started out, I think I started, so it was like 10 years ago, I started charging like $35 for a half-hour session. And after not very long, I doubled my rates because people were getting ridiculous results. The amazingness of what happened in those sessions blew me away. And I was like, this is worth way more than that person paid. And I kept happening. And it's easy to raise your rates. It's, you know, it's not so easy to lower your rates, right? Like people are, well, you could do both. You could do both. But when I was getting paid $35 for a half an hour, I felt like, dang, I'm really not getting compensated. I'm not being paid well for what I give people, for the transformation that happens for them and their animals. I'm not getting paid well. When I doubled my rates, I was like, yeah, you know, this gives me something to live up to. It's enough money that I really need to show up to provide that value, but my clients are consistently getting that value and I feel good about it. So it's pretty subjective. Let's see, Kathy says, do I have liability insurance or any contract? No, I don't do any of that. So let's look at you guys' numbers. Michelle says she's a 6 and a 7, 966 for Liz. That's great. 966 for Joe. Michelle's business skills are 3. That's great. That means you've got a lot of stuff in place. And 476 for Anne. Cherry says 953. Good to know. Alana says, I'm just a beginner. Great, I love, so Stacy says, I help people untie the ribbons on their gifts. Beautiful. Marilyn 971, awesome. You're on your way, definitely. Animal communicate. What's the difference between animal communication and animal healing? I don't use those two terms interchangeably. To me, animal communication is really actually having that intuitive conversation with an animal. And I consider animal healing, although a conversation can be healing, I consider animal healing to be some other modalities such as acupressure or healing touch or Tellington tea touch or Reiki or you know, some other kind of thing like that. Jan says 133, awesome. I love that you are owning where you are, but knowing where you're going. Patty asks if I do sliding scales. Not very much, to be honest, but on a case-by-case basis, I sometimes do that. And Dana needs to practice on the AC. Adbuta's 5s across the board. Right on, Adbuta. Good job. Bum, 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 bum. So Michelle says, I prefer to do animal communication remotely. Of course, that's okay. You do it your way. This is your business. Here's the cool thing. If you're creating a business, it's your business. You're in charge. You do it the way that it works for you. That's why I'm in my house, right? I don't have an office. I work in my house because that's my business and my way. Practice from Chan. And Susan says, of course it's okay. You do what works for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. Okay. Questions about this. I mostly offer this to kind of give that big pictures and give you guys some perspective on where you are and if you're ready for that next phase or what it's going to take to get there. And also so that you don't feel pressured to be somewhere that is really down the road, right? That you can't be yet, because we can put so much pressure on ourselves to be more advanced than we are. And I want you to know that you don't have to be there yet. You're going to move on your path at your pace. And that's okay. You don't have to have the flashy website when you're starting out. You can still be successful and still be a professional, even without all that. All right, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. And we'll just see if anybody has any questions. I know we're moving along really quickly. I am hoping that this is all flowing and making sense and you guys are still with me. Got a thumbs up if you're still with me? You guys here? Okay, good. I see 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Oh, lots of them. Awesome. Elizabeth's clapping. Thank you, Elizabeth. Awesome. Okay. Yay. Beautiful. So then let's keep moving on, because I have more that I want to share with you guys. So one of my goals was to have you walk away from this 2 hours that we're spending together knowing where you are. And so I want you to really anchor, like, which phase are you in? Are you pre-professional? Are you just starting out? You've gotten some paid clients, but you're not sure about where you are? Or are you like really established? So pre-pro, early pro, established pro. And then the real question is, are you ready? If you're in one of those, if you're in the pre-professional, are you ready to become a professional? Have you gotten some nice objective feedback about where you are that says to you, hey, I'm ready to do this. I didn't know I was ready, and now I'm ready. So I'm hoping that that happened for many of you today. So I also hope that we've taken a moment at each step along the way to identify what your next steps are, how you're going to get to that next phase, what areas you need to focus on, and specifically what tasks you can be working on to get yourself to that next phase. So is it animal communication skills? I'm hoping you have notes where you've written down, here's the animal communication skill I don't have. I don't know how to structure a session with a client. I'm going to work on that and come up with that. Or I don't have 50 practice sessions yet. I'm going to work on that. Whatever it is for you. If it's mindset, if you need to believe in yourself or understand what's holding you back or why you procrastinate, then how are you going to address that? And do you have the business skills? Do you just have to get better at writing stuff down and tracking it and start making that a new habit? Or do you need some training on how to create a website or write a blog? Whatever it is, I want you to just know where you are and know how you're going to get yourself to the next phase. And for those of you who are ready, who, if you're in the pre-professional phase and you know that you're ready to go pro, I want to invite you to join me to get your first paying client. This is a new class that I'm offering starting next week. It's 4 weeks. We're going to meet each week for 2 hours, just like this, and go through the steps. There are 4 steps that I see for going from not making money to actually getting your first paying client. And this is really based on me looking back now after a decade in business and the new landscape of where we are, which is very different technology-wise from where we were 10 years ago. And I thought, if I was going to start a business right now from scratch, how would I do it? And this is what I came up with. And this is in a lot of ways how I did create my business, which has gone from literally zero to now, successful with clients all over the world, and 400 people from around the world signing up for this event. So this is how I would do it. And I want you to be able to see what it takes to go pro and if it's the right business for you, because I think we can so often say, this is what I want to do, but the stakes get so high if we go and do a 2-year training program and then we try it and we don't like it. I want you to be able to do in a nice bite-sized piece, try it out, see if it's the right business for you and if you can make it work for you or not, because I think for some people it might not be. And then we can work with that, but you need some actual information, some actual data to tell you about that. And I really want you to live your dream, and I want you to help animals. I mean, that's what we're all here for. We all want to make the world a better place for animals, and we all have dreams inside of us that we want to come true. And we sometimes need some concrete action steps and a helping hand to help us get there, to show us the way. So this class, your first paying client class, starts next week. And normally for this kind of a class with this level of online lessons and in-person coaching and all of that, I would normally charge $197 for this kind of class. But I get that we're living in a wacky world and financially things can be challenging for a lot of us. So I'm just lowering the price down to $127. Everybody can get it. If you have a friend who didn't come to the website, they can get that price. I think it's a really good deal, and I think that you're going to get great value for that money, and you're going to get to try this out and see, because starting a business is a thing that you have to do, and you have to be in there in order to find out what works. And some things work for some people and not for other people. And it can be very, very particular and unique and specific to you. So I want to get you in there and help you get your feet wet in a way that is comfortable and achievable, and also helps move you forward so you can really try this. So that's my invitation to you guys. Come and join me, get your first paying client. And if you're ready to do that, I haven't actually checked to see if the page is ready, but my assistant assured me that it would be ready by the time we got done. So I will put a link for you guys in the replay email that'll go out this afternoon. But if you are ready and eager to go right now, go to drkaragubbins.com. .kartra.com/page/your first paying client. So I know it's a really bulky URL. I apologize for that, but you can get there and you can see the page and you can sign up for the class. And mostly, next steps for you guys is live your dreams. Wherever you are, you're living your dream. The dream that's alive inside of you wants to be expressed. It wants you to succeed. It wants you as much as you want it. And just go and do it. And thank you. Thank you for joining me here today. I think we still have some time for a little Q&A, and maybe we can even like talk out loud with each other. So let's see, I got some thank yous. You're welcome, everybody. And looks like a couple of questions. Let me just check. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in the chat. So Joe is asking about the first paying client class, and yeah, if you have had a few paying clients, then yes, come to this class. There's so much more to it than the first one. So anybody who's taken my classes know that I kind of tend to be a over deliverer. So there's a lot, you're going to get skills and experience and training in the mindset skills, in the context, how do we work with the blocks and the limiting beliefs that we've been talking about in the mindset section. And the process is repeatable. So once you go through this, you'll start to see like, oh, I can do this again, and here's how I can build on that. And to me, this process is the distillation of business training into the least threatening non-business jargon that I can possibly do, but you're getting some really fundamental business training that I'm not even going to tell you what it is because I don't want to mess you up. But all of the things that we talked about today, even the stuff that's in the established professional category, the seeds for it are in this class. So this is really built on not just like, hey, go do this because it worked for me. This is really built on business theory and training distilled down to what's the essence of it, and how do we do it without tripping ourselves up? How do we do it without putting the cart before the horse? So even if you have a business, if it's not working that well for you, you can come here and this class will help give it a nudge to get it really working for you. There's going to be pieces in here that are going to be helpful for you, even if you already have a website, even if you already have a business. And it's the foundation for all my other classes in this series. So Start Your Animal Communicator Business Series is starting with your first client, because you just need that client, right? You just need that first one to pay you. And then you're going to need a bunch more, right? If you want to build a business, you're going to need more of them. So that's going to be the next class. Like, what's the next piece? Okay, so now you got this. You've talked to people. You've got your sessions in place. You know how to talk to people. So what do you need now that you're at that early professional phase, right? Like, what are the business fundamentals that you need? How do you implement them? How do you go about identifying your ideal client? How do you talk about that transformation and why it's important to people? All of that is going to come up, and it's all going to be really, if you come in from the first class, it'll be in your DNA by the time you get to the next class. So it's just going to be part of the conversation, and the stuff that's going to come up later with the businessy terms, it's going to be tied to something that you already know in a friendly kind of a way. So it's just going to keep building layer upon layer upon layer. And these classes are going to go through those 3 phases that we talked about, because I want all of you to be established and successful and have recurring clients and recurring income that you can count on, that's predictable. So, so that's an answer to Joe's question. You're welcome, everybody. Lots of people saying thank you. You're super, super welcome. Lindsay asks if I'll be offering this again. Yes, I assume so. I'm like totally honoring you. You're pre-pro and you need to practice, and that's great. And go for it. And yes, I'm hoping this is the first time I'm offering it, and I'm hoping that it just gets into the system and we do it more and more. So Stacy says, although I'm established as a facilitator of healing and an animal communicator, I found this inspiring. Thank you. You're super welcome. Interesting. She says the way we work with vets is different. Can you do this class even if you're at the beginning stage of animal communication? No. I really wouldn't recommend it. I would say wait until you feel really confident, because I'm going to ask you to put yourself out there, and you need to have those fundamentals of animal communication first before you even get this training. And this isn't even big business training, but this is really, you need to have that confidence as an animal communicator before this class. I just don't think it'll help you. I don't want you to waste your money. Let's see. Let's see what else. And other questions. Great. So Michelle says she started charging because of the pandemic and being out of her job. I'm sorry, I'm just looking to see if there are any questions here. You guys, I'm scrolling through the chat. Michelle asked, have I ever declined a client? Yes. Yeah. And that's how we learn. We don't listen to our gut and we do it anyways. And then we're like, oh, that was a big mistake. And so I've learned that lesson the hard way too. Okay. Oh, Martina, yeah, you got the book. That's great. Martina's in Norway, and I sent her a free book because she won it in the summit in March, and she finally got it. That's awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Martina. So you guys, that's what I have for you. I don't have any more material. I'm here to answer questions. We've got a few more minutes. If you don't have any questions, though, we could unmute everybody and just go, yay, we're animal communicators. Or if you have a question and you'd rather talk, then put it in the chat. Just let me know, and we can do that. So if you have a question, just unmute yourself and say something, because I can't see everybody. I've got like many, many pages of faces here. Anybody have a question? No? Okay. I don't see any questions. You guys, I always loved, there's Maureen, I see your face. Hi, Maureen. I always love to end whatever I do with a blessing. And so let's just take a moment to bring this webinar to completion by focusing in on the blessings that we have received. So If you want to join me, close your eyes, put your feet on the ground, feel your connection to the earth. Take a deep breath and let it out. Take a moment to breathe in the gratitude for the path that got you here today. You're here for a reason, and you have taken a path that has connected you with many, many people, many, many animals, much love and much dedication to yourself, to animals, to your skills. So let's just really breathe into all of that. Let's acknowledge ourselves for everything we've done up to this point to get us to here today, right now, even thinking about going pro. And then let's ask that a blessing of light be placed upon each of our paths, allowing us to clearly see our paths, to easily move forward on our paths, and to gently and lovingly overcome any obstacles in our paths, knowing that we're loved, supported, and celebrated by people, animals, and guides in the physical and the non-physical all the time that are cheering us on, who want us to succeed, who are holding the vision of our success and living our dreams. And know that that's why we're here on the planet, and that's where we're going, and that is how the path ahead works. That is your animal communicator business roadmap. So just take a moment to really receive all of that encouragement, all of that positive energy, all of that support that's coming your way, and know that that blessing of light is there on your path, leading you forward, lighting the way for you to take you from where you are now to where you want to be, knowing that everything you need is already inside of you, and it's just looking for greater and greater expression in the world, you becoming more of the truth of who you are. And so it is. All right, by the power vested in me, by each of you, I declare our Animal Communicator Business Roadmap webinar complete. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for being you and for being a positive force for animals and light on the planet. And I do hope to see all of you in the Animal Communicator business class, your first paying client. And if not there, then hopefully somewhere else down the road. But thanks for being you, and thanks for all you do for animals everywhere. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.